everybody? You are listening to the Worship Collective podcast. My name is Colton Jackson. I am so glad that you are here. Right now, before we go any further, have you checked out episode 1 yet? I had a phenomenal conversation with Tyler Jarvis from Grace Church in Atlanta, Georgia. We talked about so much good stuff, and I promise you do not want to miss out on that. But today, I am pumped for our guest. I sat down with Gable Price. Gable is a worship intern at Bethel Church in Redding, California. We talk about his story, choosing to be homeless, what it's like to be around the people at Bethel and play on the Bethel stage, his new EP, which is Straight Flames, by the way, and so much more. Look, I'm just going to stop talking about it, and we're just going to get into it. Here is my conversation with Gable Price.
If you ask for what I owe, I'd be a dead man. On the cross you set the flood. Now I've been bathed in the blood. I'm washed clean.
Hey, what's up, Gable?
I blinked. Can you take it again?
Yep.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally just kidding. What's up, Colton?
How are you, man?
I'm good, dude. I've had a substantial amount more caffeine today than I usually do.
Dude,
So if it sounds like I'm shivering, it's probably
fine.
because
Is it just like coffee or energy drinks, pop? What's fueling you?
Pop, you are a Midwest guy.
Listen.
Yeah. No, it was a good mix of kombucha and coffee.
All right. So here's the thing. I love kombucha.
Yes.
Do you have like a brand that is your favorite?
No, we have Trader Joe's over here, so I pretty
yeah.
much just get whatever's at Trader Joe's that week.
Yeah, I'm just into the Kavita pineapple peach. That's like my favorite.
Pineapple peach. That sounds like a LaCroix flavor.
Oh, right. And then mango habanero. It's like spicy, but it's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like it's terrible, but you can't stop drinking it.
It's good. You like water after. So off topic. I love it though. You talk about LaCroix and I'm drinking like a San Pellegrino.
Oh my gosh.
Prickly pear and orange.
Oh my gosh. You know, the thing about LaCroix is it's like Miley Cyrus in 2013 and like her drama. It's like it's so bad, but you kind of can't look away from it.
Here's the thing.
And then it becomes really entertaining.
Everyone makes fun of me for liking it, but like I genuinely enjoy it. And I think it started with yeah, because my mom got one of those soda streams and would just pump like CO2 into water to stop drinking Diet Coke.
That's hilarious.
And I just started drinking carbonated water and I was like, oh, they have one with like a hint of flavor. I'm going to try that. And I love it.
Oh my gosh. Dude, true story. I keep a soda stream in the back seat of my car.
Oh yeah, dude. They're great.
I just take a little break during school. I'll just go out there, fill up my bottle, carbonate it, and just take the edge off with it.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This intro went way different than I thought it would, but I'm like very proud.
Oh yeah. This today is brought to you by barely flavored bubbly water.
Yep. I'll try to get them to sponsor that.
In the Midwest.
Pop. We'll figure it out.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, dude. So much stuff. We chatted a little bit last week and I feel like you've had like a dream week and I'm super excited to get into what happened last Sunday night with you.
Yeah.
We had some connectivity issues last time we were chatting and we had to postpone recording, but I think that kind of worked in our favor a little bit.
We got off that call and Colton critiqued my testimony.
Yep.
Told me what to go back in time and change.
Yep.
So he asked me to do a couple more things wrong in my life to have a little bit better of a setup for our altar call at the end of the episode today. But other than that, I think we're good, right?
I needed your story to be more prodigal son-esque. And what?
Oh man, you're like it seems like you. It seems like you were the older brother in this story. I kind of need you to be the.
I need you to be the one that leaves.
Okay,
and comes back, and here we are. Oh,
I'm young, so I still got time.
You've got time, man. Oh, this is awesome. Holy moly, dude. So good to be able to sit down and chat with you. When I had this idea, I've had the idea for a really long time, to start a podcast where I just hang out with people who do music in ministry. And there's been a list of people that I've had in my mind that I wanted to have on. And you were on that list. I've just been intrigued by your story through the lens of my iPhone for the last like year and a half, from you living in your van to being at Bethel. And I'm just super pumped to dive into all that. So I'd love to hear your story. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me. Floor is yours, man. Get it.
Sweet. That's awesome. Man, I don't even super know where to start. It's an interesting thing asking about a testimony, because until about this year, I was just, when someone would ask me my testimony, I'd be like, I don't really have much to say. I grew up in a really good home. But I mean, I can always tell stories about just the crazy ways that the Lord has just shown me that he loves me. And it's not done. It just keeps happening. Every day is a new journey. But I'll start with, like I said, I grew up in a really healthy household. Both my parents are amazing. I have an older brother who is 3 years older than me, and a younger brother who's 3 years younger than me. And they're some of my closest friends. There's no beef there. But my dad was a worship pastor from the time that I was 5 until the time I was 17 or 16. Yeah. But yeah, so I grew up under my dad's leadership as a worship pastor, which was an incredible experience. But my relationship with Jesus, since I grew up in the church, was kind of like a Instagram thing.
Yeah.
Where you kind of like you and I's relationship, where I followed you for years and never had a conversation with you. That's kind of how I feel, like kind of weird referring to you as the God in that situation. So it's
fine.
Yeah, we'll crop it out post. But yeah, that was kind of me and the Lord's relationship, where I'd been going to church and never really knew him. I'd say my first encounter with the living God, not like the Instagram God, was at a conference that you were playing at, actually. Which is so fun that we're having this conversation, because through the years, from probably the age 11 till the age 14, the most hyped I would get about music was when I went to the Summer of Service conference that you always played at, because they played loud.
Good times, man.
Yeah, it was always a great time. But yeah, I just a week before that conference, I had woken up and half my face didn't work anymore. Couldn't wink. I still can't wink. It was actually a New Year's resolution a couple of years ago, was to learn how to wink.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, half of my face was kind of like frozen. I went to the doctor because the morning of, me and my dad made so many jokes about it, because we thought it was just going to wear off, like kind of when you leave the dentist.
Oh yeah.
But no, it didn't wear off. We were in later in the day, and we went into a doctor, and they told me that I had something called Bell's palsy, which is a temporary form of cerebral palsy. And that it's temporary, but if it gets to about 10 days of having it, it becomes a little more permanent. Not fully permanent, but it could take a lot longer to wear off.
Right.
And being 11 and pretty insecure, going to the conference, like the one time of the year that I'd be around girls that I hadn't met before, being homeschooled and all. I was super insecure. I asked everyone in my group not to take pictures of me, because half my face wasn't working. I had to wear a blindfold over one eye so it didn't dry out. Yes. Super.
I feel bad for laughing. I would have felt like terrible, but you're just like that kid with an eye patch, just like walking around because you don't want your eye to get dry. Sorry.
Yeah. Except like walking around with an eye patch at like a youth conference, people are like, yeah, this guy is for sure homeschooled. Which isn't wrong, because I was. But I remember I had really wanted it to not be like that, but I'd never really asked God for healing, because like I said, like it was stories that we heard, but it was never something I experienced.
Yeah.
And I remember the last night of the conference. So at that point, it was getting a little closer to 10 days. We were getting a little more worried because we weren't seeing any improvements. And I asked it was either the children's or the youth pastor at my church, and then the associate pastor who was also with our youth group on that trip. I asked them to pray for me. They prayed for me. I went to the bathroom afterwards, and I was just completely healed, which was absolutely wild. Just yeah.
That's awesome.
You there, bro?
Yeah, man. I'm here.
Check 1, 2.
Check.
Sweet. Okay. I thought I lost you.
No, we're good, man.
Roller coaster of emotions.
No, dude. So you're in the bathroom and you're like, holy moly.
Yeah. Just like, it's kind of that, I'm like, God sees me and he hears me. Cause it wasn't like I prayed for it and a week later, which is still a healing, but like it was instant to the point where I couldn't argue that it wasn't God.
Yeah. Wow. That's good.
Yeah. So that was my first encounter with the Lord. And that was when I was 11 years old. So since then, I mean, going through like the prepubescent years and then teen years, I was still super, super insecure, struggled with a lot of anxiety and depression. But I always, growing up with my dad being the worship pastor, he always gave me opportunities I don't think I quite was ready for, but in a good way. I think in a good way. I do not regret it now. I'm super happy for it. But I remember on my 13th birthday, he gave me a note, and I actually have it hanging on my wall in front of me. And it says, "Dear Gable, happy birthday. I know you'll put this guitar to good use." He gave me a old Gibson Les Paul, which was so sweet.
Rock and roll, man.
It says, "You're a musician. If you desire to be a worship leader, there's no greater gift I can give you than passing on to you what I've already learned."
Wow.
I would like you to be my worship leader apprentice. Just a beautiful note that I really cherish. But for the next few years, I would come in sometimes once a week, sometimes twice a week, and just hang out with my dad while he did his job. And he would pass off tasks to me. He would let me lead some rehearsals, which was such a dangerous move, and I'm super thankful for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a really cool thing. I think my dad is probably the person I admire most in the world. Just an amazing dude. Shows me time and time again what it means to follow the voice of the Lord over comfortability.
Yeah.
Is comfortability a word?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. I'm at homeschool,
That's fine.
My dad's an amazing guy. So yeah, he helped me do that. And I think most of my stories revolve around either my mom or my dad, or my brothers. But leading kind of into the how I am where I am right now, in the United States. When I was 17, the summer after my dad decided he thought it was time to take a break from vocational ministry. He worked construction, not construction. It was more like we flipped houses.
Yeah, like contracting.
Contracting. That's for it. And we helped flip a house one summer, and it was such hard work.
Oh yeah.
But he would put in so many hours because he would think, like, if I'm not going to be doing, like the thing that's going to make me money, like the thing I've always done, I still need to provide for my family, which I thought was really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was really incredible when he was stepping away from his ministry position. His main reasoning was, he felt the Lord on it, but he also said, I have to have a pretty hefty fire in my belly if I'm willing to take a paycheck from a church. Just really believing in when people sow into the church, he wants it to be used the best way possible to empower the people that he feels were really, really highlighted in that season, which is such an amazing thing about my dad. But going back to our jobs that summer, he and I worked together super super fun, an experience I wouldn't take back, but also a job I would probably never do again.
Oh yeah, I did. I did it, man. I know.
I think everyone needs to do that job for a hot second. That was a hard time because it's like you wake up early, you get home. It was a 7 to 5 usually. Yep. And so by the time I got home, because it was physical, like manual labor, I'd be too tired to do anything.
Oh yeah.
So I just chill and then go to bed. That was the only period of my life I felt like I was wasting away.
Yeah.
Which was pretty crazy. But the best thing about that summer, besides getting to hang out with my dad all day, every day, was I saved up enough money to buy a new guitar amp. And right when I am about to order a custom-made amp that I'm actually glad I didn't end up ordering because the company had a big scandal shortly after. But
yikes.
Yeah, yikes. I read an article online about a baseball player. I don't know what team it was for, maybe the Cardinals, about how he had a Volkswagen van that he would drive or that he would live in during like training camps. And whenever he was home, he would just live in that van because he was traveling so much. And I thought that was the coolest thing. So one day on my lunch break at work, me and my dad were sitting on the porch of the house we were helping renovate. And I went on Craigslist and I found a 1977 Dodge Tradesman camper van in Muncie, Indiana for just above what I had saved for my van, or for my guitar amp.
Yeah.
And I remember that day I called my older brother and I said, his name is Jonah. I said, Jonah, I found a van. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to drive it to California. I don't have enough money. Can I borrow money from you? Because I think he managed a Chick-fil-A at that point.
Okay.
But he could have been working somewhere else, but I'm not 100% sure. So he was like, yes, you can, but you have to get it checked out by a mechanic before you buy it. And I was like, no, because I knew it's a 77. Like there's got to be a bunch of baggage with it mechanically.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to tell me that it's never going to run. I can
I know.
it does.
It's wishful thinking.
Yes.
So that weekend, me and my mom, my best friend, we drove to Muncie, Indiana, to check out this van. And we get to this huge warehouse, like this abandoned warehouse, where this guy says that his 1977 van with leopard print wallpaper is parked. And I text the guy, I'm like, hey, we're here. Where are you at? He's like, we're behind the warehouse. Come behind the warehouse.
Oh, bro, this is like horror movie.
Oh, I know.
Right,
I know. It's just like, I don't know how my mom was like,
cool
let's
with
do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. My sweet angel child. Let's go behind this abandoned building and find a van. No, but I tell my mom that and she's like, we are not going behind an abandoned warehouse of someone you met on Craigslist. I somehow convinced her too. I was like, Mom, it's okay. I took like 2 years of Taekwondo class in elementary school.
I've got this.
I've got this. So we go back there and sure enough, the van's there in all its rusted and busted glory. We drive it around. This thing was just bad to the bone. So loud. You could smell the destruction it was doing to everything around it.
Yes.
Which in hindsight, I'm just like, oh, I probably should have thought that through. But so we go to a mechanic shop to get it checked out. And the guy is like, yeah, this thing runs perfectly. You'll never have a problem with this. In a town like Muncie, Indiana, I should have known that the guy
should have known.
I should have known that he already probably knew the people who were trying to sell me the van. And they just, because they recommended the shop. They're like, you got to go to this shop. Their guy he's our guy. He's amazing. So I know they text him on the way there and they're like, tell him to offer more money than we're asking. So they told me it was great. I offered the guy a little bit less. He was actually a super nice guy that I bought it from. He was just barely a little bit older than me. And I offered him less than he was asking. And he told me that he had like 4 people lined up to buy it behind me, but he really believed in what I wanted to do with it. So he sold it to me. And man, it was just really, really great. I've kept up with him pretty well. I follow him on Instagram. Yeah. So I sent him a sticker of the van once once we were almost done renovating it. So we're driving this van home from Muncie, Indiana, which is about 3 hours away. And we get all the way home to our exit in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. And we go to Chipotle. And it drove great until then. I mean, like the speedometer didn't work, but but that's barely illegal.
That's fine.
Yeah. So we get to the Chipotle, we get our food, we come back out, it won't start.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Such a huge bummer. And especially because we got all the way home.
So close.
Yeah, but all the thoughts running through my head right then are like, I'm supposed to drive this thing across the country in a year, and I can't even drive it 3 hours home without it breaking down. So we towed it home. Yeah. Oh golly. So we towed it home. It sat for about 4 months, and then my uncle was like, "Hey, these are my guys at the shop. Check it out." So I towed it there, and I had some money saved up that I was going to use. And we got there, and they just told us, they were like, "Your uncle already covered it." I texted him. He's like, "It's a graduation present."
Oh, man. That's so sweet.
Amazing. Yeah, the amount of support from family members and friends through the years is just like the most humbling thing ever.
That's awesome, man.
And it's also a good amount of pressure of like, hey, you're not just doing this for yourself. There are a lot of people who really believe in you and are selling it to you, which is cool. But yeah, so we spent the next 6 months fixing up this 77 van to drive across the country. We eventually painted it. It was brown with like the leopard print wallpaper, which was super moldy. So we just ripped everything out, repainted it, painted on the side rust or bust, kind of in a way of like, it's either rusting or it's going down, but either way, this thing is slowly depleting.
Oh boy.
And so people supported me along the way, gave me a bunch of great ideas to raise money. I sold vintage clothes to raise money for it. But we worked on it. It was driving great. I left to head out to Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry, which I'm in the second year of right now. So we drove it, and it drove all the way to Indianapolis without breaking down, which is about 2 hours. So the thoughts running through our head are like way darker than the ones that we had the year before when we bought it, because we were like, we have a year to prep. And I'm like, I already had a going away party, and I'm about to live in this van.
Yeah. And you're in Indy, so you got a long way to go.
Yeah, we have 34 hours to go. And it's not even just like it just stops working. It starts spraying black smoke out of the hood, and that never looks good.
And you're with your dad? Your dad went with you, right? You're not by
my dad drove with me, and then my mom and my little brother followed me in my car.
Oh my gosh. So at least you're not by yourself. That's good.
Yeah. No, there's no way I could have made this trip on my own. But I remember we were at a McDonald's, and we're all kind of freaking out. My dad, super calm and collected, but you can tell he's kind of exploding inside.
Yeah.
They're all inside, and I'm just in the back, laying in the bed of the van. And I've had a pretty hefty journey with the song "King of My Heart" by John Mark, and then Bethel redid it eventually. And man, I just cranked up that song, sang it. Wasn't really believing it, but I was singing it. I was choosing to sing it. And sure enough, a couple hours passed, maybe less, and the van started up for whatever reason. We made it about 2 more hours, started spraying smoke again. Kind of got it down to a science of like, okay, it's going to take this long until it stops, or until it sprays smoke. And I'm sorry, I'm taking way too long on this van story.
I love it. It's a huge part of where you are now, I think. So it's important.
Yeah. So we, tons of van breakdowns and emotional breakdowns along the way. A lot of King of My Heart.
Yeah.
So my grandparents live in the Colorado Springs. And we make it to Colorado barely. Like we actually limp in there to the point where if we let off the gas, the car dies.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And you have you been to Colorado before?
I have not.
Okay. It's super like lots of hills. super high altitude.
Right.
So we're going up hills and we're going down them too. So we're like, we can't let off the gas or it dies.
So we're just gonna floor it. Let's go.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But once we get more into civilization, it got a lot harder and it was dying like every, 200, 300 yards. And the last 20 minutes of the drive ended up taking us like 3 hours. But my little brother was in the car behind us because they didn't want it to die and then someone rear-end us.
Yeah.
But my little brother and my mom were in the car behind, and my little brother just they lay on their horn and they pull over, and he just starts puking because it's spraying the fumes because of us like just constantly being on the gas. Plus, it gets 7 miles to the gallon, so like you already know it's burning.
Oh, that's funny because I've gotten to know Jack this year a little bit, and
no way.
The image of him throwing up because of this pollution makes my heart happy. Anyways,
that's demented, dude.
No, it's so funny.
Dude,
I love him.
I love the picture of your little brother just being miserable.
Oh, dude, I love Jack though.
Jack's the best. He's one of my best friends in the world. Love that guy.
He is such a cool dude. Anyways, you're in Colorado Springs and you're like,
So we finally So we finally make it to my grandparents' house. We had planned on staying there for a week. So the first 2 days, we're trying to fix this van and nothing is working. And I think this was the most pivotal point in actually believing that, God is real and he cares about me.
Yeah.
And about my day-to-day stuff, not just my beginning and my end. And so we're in the Springs, just chilling, trying to fix this van. Nothing is working. We've tried so many different things. And so we go to a coffee shop. But I actually, okay, rewind. I call my friend, his name's Izzy Jones. I called him and I was like, dude, this is what's going on. Can you pray for us? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And Izzy's like a super spirit-filled dude. Mm-hmm. So he's praying for us and he's like, dude, craziest thing. I just got a picture of you and your dad standing over the engine compartment and you guys are playing a chessboard. Like you're playing chess. I have no idea what it means, but you're playing chess. I'm like, great, dude. Thank you. Super unhelpful. Can you tell us what like we're fixing? No, but so the next day we go to a coffee shop and we're hanging out there and this guy comes over and he's like, yeah, I'm a business owner over here. I own the lemonade store down the road, which I think it's cool that they have a lemonade store.
You said that and I was like, what? Anyways. Okay.
Dude, it's
sweet.
Colorado, man.
Yep.
Colorado. It's next to a place called Gas and Grass.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, so we're at this coffee shop and the guy from the lemonade store is talking to us and he asks us what we're doing in Colorado Springs. We tell him about the van and how we're driving across, but also how we're having a ton of trouble with it. And he's like, what's going on? We tell him and he tells us exactly how to fix it. And the things that he told us were the things that ultimately fixed the van and got us back on the road.
No way.
So we're heading out of there. We're like, dude, thank you so much. What's your name? He's like, oh, my name is Chess.
Oh, wait a second.
Yes. I would never make something like this up. Like from my friends saying, your dad's playing chess to go into this place and this guy tells us exactly how we're going to fix it down to the place we should buy the parts. And his name is Chess. Like that's just whose name is Chess.
I praise the Lord. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, man. So it was crazy. So we hit the road and we make it out to California where I'm about to start school with I made one friend on the way there out of Wendy's in Nevada. Craziest thing. He was the only guy in Nevada looking like he wasn't there to gamble.
Yes.
And I was leaving Wendy's, which I don't even like Wendy's that much, but nowhere else took credit card for some reason. I think it's because of how many times people get their cards stolen in Nevada. Because of
maybe. Yeah.
Maybe there was just like a purge the night before.
Who knows?
But, so I'm leaving there. My mom calls. She's like, come back. This guy's going to Bethel. So we start talking and it turns out of a school of 1,300 people, we're in the same group of 60 people at the school. And he and I become really close, was one of my best friends throughout the whole year. He's actually moving to Cincinnati whenever I go back. which is crazy.
Dang, dude. That's
But
wild.
yeah, another thing of just how like I was terrified I wasn't gonna be able to make friends, and just another sign that the Lord cares so much more than just my beginning and end.
Yes.
But yeah, now here I am. I'm in my second year of BSSM. I'm still living in the van.
Yeah. So you made it. You're parked and you're just living in it.
Yeah, I'm just living in. I'm driving my car around because I failed the emissions test with my van. Because just because like the fires in California,
Yeah.
as well as the air quality, it's really bad. Like the air quality is, so they're pretty strict on what vehicles they let drive. Like,
Yeah.
so you have to pass something called the smog check before you get your car registered. So I wasn't able to get my car registered in California, which was okay, but I was able to get my car registered, not my van, so I could drive my car. So it wasn't the end of the world. But yeah, here I am, man.
Nice, man. And you named your van the Dreamboat, right?
Yes, I can't believe I left that out.
It's
Yeah,
all
I
right.
named my van the Dreamboat just because it was just an absolute dream of like of a year and a half, and me and my dad's dream of building this thing and driving it across the country, and just the most beautiful thing. I pulled up to. Me and my dad always had these projects. Like when I was a really little kid, I loved Mustangs, and he bought me a Mustang model car, and we would always build it, and we never finished it, which was so sad. And then we get out to California, man, and I cried for so long after he said this. And we're in the van the night before I drop him off at the airport, my family off at the airport to fly home, and I'm on my own for the first time in my life. And he says, he's got his arm around me. He says, "Gable, we finally built our model car."
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, it still gets me a little bit choked up.
Yeah, dude. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
man.
special, man. So that's wild, dude. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy story. You barely make it to California, but man, by the grace of God, like you're there, you're thriving.
I'm thriving,
dude. Second year at Bethel, at the School for Supernatural Ministry. That's incredible. I would love to talk about that, man. What's it like just being at Bethel? And I know it's probably so different every day, but like, if you can, give me like a rig rundown, man, of like a day, like a day in the life of what you do.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll just break it down kind of by the years.
Yeah.
So first year is about 1,300 students, and we're 50% internationals. So tons of different people from different places in the world. I think everyone has to be semi-fluent in English just so communication can be less stressed.
Right.
But yeah. So and then second year is 750 people. So less than half, or sorry, a little more than half. There's that math. And then the third year is more of an apprenticeship where you have to apply for mentors.
Gotcha.
You can get accepted, and you're basically their intern for the year, but they can't legally call it an internship. But yeah, so a day in the life, man. First year was so hard, in like the best ways. Because they first off, they have student worship teams. And you audition, you send in a video, and then they let you know if they want to see more of you at the in-person auditions. So and they choose 4 teams. So 2 electric guitarists on each team, 1 worship leader, 1 co-lead, 1 backup vocal. And I auditioned in first year, and I got an email on my drive out to California that I wasn't on the list of the people they wanted to see for worship leader or for guitar, which was a huge culture shock for me, because like everything I knew to be true about myself was totally up in the air of like, oh no, who am I? So just setting the stage for that. So in school, we have Bible class from, this is in first year, it's a little different in second year, but it's Bible class from 10:30 until noon, and then 12:15 to 1:15 there was worship. So an hour of worship every day, which I think was so cool.
So is that like full team, like full production, full everything? Full
production, best band, like best musicians I think I'd ever played with, man. Just so good.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then the rest of the day they kind of feel it out. Like most days we either have like Bill Johnson or Chris Valentin, which are the two senior leaders of the church, and they'd have a ton of guest speakers from all over the world, all these people who did crazy stuff. This week right now we're working at a conference. Since we're second year, we're like doing more work at it, but we're working at a conference of a guy named Randy Clark, who's a huge guy in like crazy. He sees crazy healings all the time. And he was a part of like the big thing in Toronto years and years ago of like where it was at the Toronto Airport Church where some huge revival broke out, and it's what actually got Bethel to be like so on fire for the Lord.
Huh.
Because Bill Johnson was out there.
No way. That's cool. I have to look into that. I've not heard that before.
Yeah, if you're listening online, read into that. It's actually a really, really cool thing to hear about.
Yeah, very cool.
But so then second year is pretty much the same thing, except you choose more of your classes of the things you want to study. And then we still have between 30 minutes and an hour and 15 minutes of worship every day, and a speaker or guest speaker.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm taking a lot of different classes on just Bible stuff this year. Really amazing. It's been kind of the first year that I want to learn about like deeper theology stuff as opposed to like, other stuff like how to preach and all that, which I'm learning a lot of. But yeah. School is great. Super sick.
That's awesome. And then you get to just be around some of the best worship leaders, songwriters.
Oh yeah.
Pastors.
So cool.
Like you're just, because Reading is super small, by the way, how you've explained it. So, you're telling me how you'll just be at a coffee shop and there'll be, wine and gin and then Hunter's somewhere else. And you're just running into all of these dude, the whole team is phenomenal. And kind of hear this inside perspective that you have of just seeing them in person and realizing that they're like legit real people. Because I think that us that aren't really in that position, or we follow these people on social media and we sing their songs and we read their books and they're like, man, are they real? Because like I know I've been there before. I was like, I couldn't even imagine like seeing them face to face. And then when you do, you're like, oh, they're not robots. They're not robots.
They're not robots, and they're humans, and they have BO sometimes.
They have. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, pulling up to Reading. My biggest dream is I was like, I just want to say hi to Hunter Thompson once this year.
Yeah.
And literally my first day, the first coffee shop I went to, he's just in there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can go home now.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I'm done.
I'm done.
Dude,
yeah.
That's wild. So you're there. You, one thing that I loved seeing come out of, it was kind of the first thing I noticed, is you released this like 4 or 5, I could be wrong, I don't know what to call them, episodes of where you did music videos in your van.
Yes, the Dreamboat sessions.
Yeah, dude. I remember seeing the first one with Ben Potter, right?
Yes, Ben. And speaking of Ben, he's going to have an album come out in like a month.
Oh, it's plug that thing.
16 songs. Please be on the lookout for it.
Did you play on it?
I didn't play on it, but he showed it to me just about 2 hours ago, and it's unbelievable.
Dude, I know when now that I know about it, I'm stoked about it because I watched the first episode with him, and he sang Forevermore, and I was like, I don't know what it was, just like the ambiance. It's just such a weird word. The vibe that was set in that video, the cars passing in the background, this beautiful song. Like, I mean, just phenomenal.
That guy is an amazing writer. He has such a tenderness to the songs he writes.
That is a perfect word for it.
Yeah.
And then I just remember I was like, oh my gosh, I would just listen to it all the time. Cause
no way.
Dude, it
so cool.
It was a big deal, like interesting part of my life where those words were important. And man, I'm just like, all the views on that video are probably me, because I would just hit it in my car and listen. And then it went on Spotify, and I was like, oh, like that version of it. And I was like, yes.
Yes, yeah, dude. When the Dreamboat makes its way back to the Midwest, we'll have to make one of you in there.
Dude, I'm 100% game.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, so good. Yeah, so that came out, which is awesome. And then, dude, I would love to talk about the EP that you just released a few
Yes.
months ago.
Yes.
Here, and I know I keep like bragging on you, but whatever. You're
No,
on,
it's sweet, dude. It's thanks, man.
you're on my podcast. No, but I listened. I saw that. I guess I didn't see anything about it before it came out, or I didn't realize. I just wasn't paying attention. But I was like, oh no way! Like Gable released an EP. That's awesome. I'll have to listen to that. And then days passed or whatever, and then I was driving and I was like, oh yeah, I want to check this out. And I listened to it and I loved the first song. And then right when the intro of the second song came in, here's the thought that came in my head. I was like, oh, and I really hope this is a compliment. Sorry if it's not.
Okay.
I mean it to be a compliment. I was like, oh shoot. If I didn't know what was happening and someone just, hey, check out this new Bethel worship leader on the label that they just released, I would have been like, oh, this is amazing. Like, heck yeah.
Oh, that's amazing, dude. That's that is a compliment. I
Okay.
really look up to those guys.
Good. Cause I was like,
Girls.
this seems like they just got a new dude on the label and he just released the first thing out with Bethel. And I was like, holy crap. It's so good, dude.
That's an honor,
Like,
dude.
phenomenal. So just tell me about that process. I know I'm talking a lot, but tell me about the process of starting these songs. Just tell me about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. The Reading EP was a pretty wild journey because, like I said, I didn't make teams in first year to play guitar or lead. So I had a class called Worship Leading and Pastoring, and we had a bunch of people come and teach in it. And one week Hunter came and spoke, and afterwards I pulled him aside and was like, Hunter, because he talked about how he didn't make teams in first year and how it was the best year of his life and the hardest year of his life. And at this point, I'm freaking out. I'm like, am I ever going to lead worship again? Did I just get opportunities because my dad was the worship pastor? So I pull him aside. And I think this is great advice to anyone, whether you're in or out of season of doing the thing. But I had a conversation with him and I said, how did you deal with that thought of like, I'm not leading worship. What is my purpose? And he was like, I had to make a decision right then and there that the songs I lift up in the secret place with the Lord are equally as important, if not more important than any song I'll ever sing in a arena.
Yeah. Wow.
And that was a huge turning point for me. And yeah, just a wild, beautiful thing he said that was a lot easier said than done. Because it's hard to sing songs to the Lord without thinking about, oh man, this is tight. I'm going to put this on an album.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But so what eventually started happening was I started to let go of my expectation of the way that God was going to use me in my life. And I was like, God, I really just want you. Yeah. If I was the most known person in the world and I never had you, it wouldn't be worth it. Mm-hmm. And it's such an easier thing said than done. And it was such a crazy journey. But yeah, as soon as I started letting go of my expectation of what it looked like to accomplish my dreams, they just kind of started coming to me and really bigger than I ever dreamed of. Second semester hit at school and one of the acoustic guitarists was like, hey, I need to step away. And I was getting lessons from a Bethel guy and he was just like, hey, this guy's good enough. Just throw him on. So I played acoustic for the rest of the year, which was partially humbling and partially like the biggest opportunity I could ever dream of.
Yeah.
I was not playing at all. And man, that was crazy. So just letting go of my expectation. And then my best friend, Adam, and I were in Sacramento, and I showed him the lyrics to this song. I was like, dude, this is the first worship song I've ever written. What do you think of it? Because I've never really been able to write them, because I always tried to create a science, always felt like I was being ingenuine.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this is beautiful. We have to record this. And we were like, what if we made an EP? So that song was actually the third song on the album, Touch Your Robe.
Yeah.
And the craziest story about that was I was taking a songwriting class, and one of the assignments was to start writing. And I got in the van and was writing. And I probably sat down for 5 hours trying to write a worship song. And I was just so hard on myself. Of like, this is not me. I'm trying to be someone else that I'm not. I sound like I'm writing the same song that people have written before. And so after about 5 hours, I tell God, God, I don't think I'm supposed to write worship music. And if I am supposed to keep this dream alive, you're going to have to prove it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I let go of my complaining, and I go take a nap. And in the dream that I'm in, I'm literally singing the bridge of Touch Your Robe, of the when you made your heart my home, you didn't make me take my shoes off. You didn't care what I've stepped in, because when you say I'm clean, I'm clean.
That's super funny you mentioned that, because like I have notes here, and I wanted to ask you about that line right there.
Yeah, man. So I in the dream, singing when you made your heart my home, you didn't make me take my shoes off. You didn't care what I've stepped in. And I wake up and I'm like, what in the world?
Mm-hmm.
And I ask God, I'm like, God, what was that? And I'm like, I don't care what you stepped in. I just want you. You don't have to be someone else. I just want who you are. And man, craziest thing. So I was like, I've got to put that in the song. So we start writing, couple times in the writing process. We thought, like, is that lyric too weird? And I was just kind of marked by it. I was like, no, this was God's proof that I need to let go of my expectation and just follow him.
Yeah.
So man, we start writing. I think the order of writing went Touch Your Robe, which was originally called Glorious Surrender, because it had a bridge too in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wrote Dead Man while we were writing Touch Your Robe. We were in the garage, and I was like, yeah, dude, I just got this idea for our next song. It could be like da 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 da. I'd be a dead man, and we were like, what? We gotta love that. And so
yeah,
I have a video. I don't know if I still have it. I need to track it down, of us just like cheesing in the garage, just like singing that part. And and then we went into we wrote Galilee, and then we wrote another song called Only Jesus. And I didn't end up using that on the album. We recorded it in the studio, sent it in to get mixed, and us and the guy who was mixing were just like, this isn't gonna go the direction we wanted it to. It's a good song, but it's a not for now.
Yeah.
So it was gonna be a 3-song EP. We were about to release it, and I told Adam, who was my partner in the project, dude, I would love to sing the chorus from my dad's song from when he was a worship leader at a Vineyard church. His song Pushing Back the Darkness. I was like, I would love to record just 30 seconds of me playing it and make one disc just for my dad. Excuse me. And he was like, dude, play me the song. And I played it for him. He was like, let's put this on all of them. And so we birthed the intro track of the writing EP, which is just the lyrics to my dad's song, Pushing Back the Darkness, that I want to fight for freedom, bring the light of the kingdom, pushing back the darkness in your name. And my dad's last day of his job at the church he was pastoring, we sang that song, and he led the first verse, and he had me lead the second as kind of like a passing of the torch.
Nice.
And I really thought there was no greater way to start the beginning of my offering, like my public offering, than with that song. It just was the only thing that really made sense at that point.
Dude.
So yeah. It was a great journey. I've never done that much in the studio before. Really intimidating hearing your voice over in the recordings.
Dude, it is phenomenal, man. I'll make sure. I absolutely, I'm going to link it and plug it and everything.
Oh, please do, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Here's one of my favorite questions. I love asking, and I told the story on a past episode. Like your most embarrassing moment on stage.
Oh
And
gosh.
mine was when I was guest leading at a church in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was going up to lead Living Hope by Phil Wickham and Bethel and all those lovely people. And last song, pastor's like setting up this response moment for people to come up to the front. And
Word of God, yeah.
They get up there, and I didn't take the stairs to step onto the stage. I just lifted my leg and like tried to like put one foot on and lift my body up, and ripped my pants just.
Oh my gosh.
In just not the spot that you wanted it to be ripped.
No.
Dude, so I just like had like the super long worship pastor shirt on, like always. I pulled that thing down, took my strap on my guitar, literally as like low as it could go.
It's like your old band.
Dude, Green Day. Yeah, just like that. Exactly.
Colton
like
Jackson, the Renegades, baby.
There we go. Oh man. But just so far down where I was like, I gotta do this. I gotta go up there. Yeah, dude. So if you have a moment where you just like blanked and botched up, just try to think of just something that you can laugh at now.
I have so many of them. I really do. I think that first one that came to mind was I was leading worship in our youth group at my old church, and I was 13, and I bought Wendy's beforehand. I don't know why all my stories revolve around Wendy's. What in the world?
Funny.
So it's out at my seat, and my older brother is messing with me, and he starts eating all my Wendy's.
Oh, and you're on stage?
Yes, and in the middle of singing a song, I'm like, yeah. Jonah, stop eating my food into the microphone. And it was so bad. I was like,
no.
Jonah, that's my Wendy's.
Stop.
Yeah, and yeah, I got in so much trouble because they were like,
you can't do
Gable,
that.
we trusted you with this. We would have bought you more Wendy's. And yeah, it was like I said, like some opportunities I don't know if I was quite ready for. I was thankful for the growth that came in that, but I've got so many more if you want to hear another one.
Dude, always hit me with another one.
Okay, cool. So I mean, I played guitar with my dad one weekend, and we played, man, what song was that? I can't think of who it was by, but it was the Glory to God, Glory to God.
Yeah, Forever. Yeah.
Yes.
I can't think of what it's called either. I know what you're talking about though.
Forever. Yeah.
Everyone else knows also.
It was Glorious Day no, I'm just kidding. And I wasn't much of I was the type of guitar player where it's like, if you teach me the guitar part and I practice it for like 2 days, I'll be able to play it. So I was never really one to be able to tell if it was good or not. But I was playing the lead line to that, which I can't really remember how it sounded, but I was playing it on the wrong string, and it was completely out of the scale.
No.
Yeah. So we come in that, and it starts with it. I feel like it was ba da da ba or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was just on the wrong string. And my dad and the mic goes, "All right, let's start that one over."
Oh, geez.
And he looks over at me. He's like, "Are you good? You good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Pull it together.
Gable, I swear, if you embarrass me in front of my friends, no. We start the song again. I play it in the wrong spot again. And he's like, "All right, one more time," which was so embarrassing. And we started again. I mess it up, and he just like signals to the band like verse.
Yeah, verse. Skip the intro. Go.
Goes in the verse. Skip the intro, guys. Oh man, that was hard. I actually told him, I was like, "Hey, I don't want to play guitar for a long time."
Yeah, I was just like, I'm done. Forget it.
I'm done. Man, I can think of so many more. I can't say how many times I've swelled it on the wrong note.
That makes me hurt. Like when
I did just last Sunday.
No.
Yeah, Living Hope, dude. It's that song. That's the song. We just came in for the re-intro of it, and after the first chorus, I think, and we were in E flat, and I swelled in on a D note.
So this is like on Bethel TV, right?
Yes.
Like a big
Yes.
deal.
This
First,
was
like,
first time playing on Bethel TV. Swell in on a D note, a half step too low, and then just swell right out. So that was kind of embarrassing, but also Sunday was so chill for me. Like I was way more nervous beforehand. So like when that happened, I just kind of laughed.
yeah, that's good. You have to, man. I like I said it before when I was talking to Tyler Jarvis, who you know, and I was like, man, there's just a ton of seriousness with our jobs, and I believe that. But man, there's just so much funny crap that happens that you just can't not laugh like when stuff like that goes on. You mentioned Glorious Day, and I'm a student worship pastor, so I was in our student experience and I led that, and I had led I didn't have any other vocalists on stage the weekend I was doing this. So about the time it got to Glorious Day, we had played Echo, which is off the new Elevation album, and in the original key, which is pretty high. It's Torn Wells leads it. So I was like, okay, I got that. No big deal. Let it in the original key. It was pretty straining, and I had sang it like 2 or 3 times before in rehearsal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by the time we get to like Glorious Day in the worship set, like that last, like out of the bridge, like I ran out of that, like my voice just cracked so
it was just gone
bad. And I was like, oh no. Oh, and especially when you're leading for students, like they just like will never let it go. But like
yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, ha,
At least
ha.
they're paying attention though. At least they're paying attention.
Right. Oh, but it was like, man, I don't even care because it allowed everybody to like laugh. And if we can all recognize our faults and laugh at them, I did something right, even though it was incredibly embarrassing. Oh,
I would just mess up on purpose sometimes in front of students.
There you go. Yeah.
At the or just a quick funny story at the Young Saints conference, which is Bethel's youth group. They just had their conference, and the worship leader at it started singing what's it called, like the whoop, there it is, during the worship set. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. Like and you know how like spontaneous moments go, they're usually like super tender, but like
not this one.
Whoop, there he is. Whoop, there he is.
Oh, I love that. No, I love talking about like just the funny stuff that happens. We got to be able to laugh doing what we're doing because it'll take over us if we don't. Just a couple more questions, man, then I'll let you go. What's something that you're learning in this season?
Oh, dude. A lot of things, because I'm in a ministry school that's less focused on the how-to and more on the heart stuff behind it. So I think right now, so this year in school, I'm an electric guitarist, and I've been getting so many really, really great opportunities through that. Aside from like the heart stuff that's been going on in school, if we're talking strictly on a musical basis and like worship and heart of worship basis, I'd say a really hard thing right now, not necessarily hard, just a little challenging, is with the album releasing. I've probably been more recognized as a worship leader than I have in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably the most highlighted as a worship leader I've ever been. And at the same time, in the environment of school that I'm in, I'm an electric guitarist.
Right.
So it's like to be really, really highlighted for it, yet not doing it right now is a really, really interesting heart journey for me, of just kind of accepting, man, it's my season, but it's not my season, you know?
Yep. Loving where you're at.
Yeah.
Those words, Valenstone.
Yes. Yes.
Dude, that's really good. Hey, man, one more thing. I love ending this way, and like just give like a piece of encouragement if it's someone who is a worship pastor that's listening, who's been doing it for forever. If it's someone who's like, shoot, I'm just getting into this thing, I'm gonna listen to this. If it's someone who's in the middle of it, just something that anybody can take away just from maybe a journey that you've been on, something that you've learned. Just any encouragement you want, man.
encouragement and challenge usually go together with me. I talked earlier about how I had that conversation with one of my worship leaders who told me, you got to make a decision that the song that you sing when you're in the quiet with the Lord, just you and the Lord, is going to be the most important song you've ever sang.
Yeah.
I'd say that right now, no matter how long you've been leading worship, whether you've been in vocational ministry for about 40 years, my senior, or like you're not in it yet, or you don't plan on getting in it, you just love to listen to podcasts, man, get in the secret with the Lord. You're going to grow a lot from that because you learn to recognize his voice, as well as, man, you're going to gain a lot. But an interesting journey I've had with that right now is my worship pastor in school. Her name's Callie. She told us after a worship set, she said, as soon as everything goes the exact same way that you think it's going to go every time you stop interacting with something eternal. And just, so I'd say the best thing is get rid of the routine. I mean, some routine is amazing and it has to be kept there for order. But in terms of your personal relationship with the Lord, just get in the secret with him. Don't care how it sounds. I'd even encourage you to play with your guitar out of tune sometimes.
Yeah.
Like guitar out of tune, sing out of key. It's weird, but it's just like, God, I don't care that I'm good at this.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that I am. But even though I'm not good at this, my offering to you is partially my talents, but it's also my heart. And even if I wasn't good at this, I would still love you.
And I think like when you're doing that, like I guess no matter how good or how terrible you are, your offering is just as sweet as someone who's the best. And I think that,
it really is.
Like
yeah.
God honors talent, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I think that it's all the same.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like the song that, the fifth grader says in his time with the Lord is equally as important as, Chris Tomlin singing Good Father in an auditorium of 30,000 people,
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, it's all eternal.
Dude. Hey man, this has been awesome. I'm pumped to get this out. I'm super thankful for you that you've taken time out of your busy schedule just to sit down and chat with me, to be vulnerable and honest. And I think a lot of people are going to be super encouraged, man.
Dude, thank you for having me on here. It's really been a blast.
Awesome, dude. Well, hey, praying for you in this season, man. And we'll chat soon, okay?
Yeah, dude. I'll see you later.
Bye, buddy.
All right, there you have it. My interview with Gable Price. That was packed with so much goodness, and I really hope that encouraged you today. Hey, I'm going to link Gable's EP, his social media, everything where you can go get his music. You can follow him to catch up and just see what's going on in his life. It's such an encouragement to me. I'm so glad that he was on this podcast. Hey, I got some incredible episodes coming up. We got a member of Elevation Worship. We got a member from Iron Bell Music. It's going to be so good. Stay tuned. Hey, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Get this thing out there so we can grow. So excited for this. Hey, have an awesome couple weeks. We'll see you soon in episode 3.
Sins have a crimson cost. You nailed my dead onto the cross. Empty slate at the empty grave. Ransom